Hello. Well, the last video showed our first test of the tacking logic on Bray Lake, and we were pretty pleased with it. Since then we've done two more tests, one on Bray Lake and one at Weston on Southampton Water, which was yesterday. I really feel that yesterday probably I shouldn't have got out of bed because everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But that is for another video. Today I'm going to show you our second test on Bray Lake, which was a kind of race between Woodstock and Robin's boat 12, which is a smaller boat but a very fast boat, but running the same logic as he normally runs in his Snoopy boat. So let's get on with that.
Before we start the second trip, I thought I'd just show you a bit more of the first tacking test. Seen here in dark blue is the track of the first test, which I showed you in the last video. And two interesting things about it is that when it got into Bravo, it was quite happy to turn through the wind in order to get towards Charlie. But when it got into Delta, it was unable to turn away from the wind to go to base SW, and instead ended up turning through the wind to go to base SW, more or less by accident. The second trip was similar but slightly different. It started out tacking from base to Alpha in very much the same way and sailing straight towards Bravo. But when it got into Bravo, it applied full port rudder in order to turn towards Charlie, but it didn't have any effect. Instead, we continued going westwards, and so the auto jibe logic came into effect, and it applied full starboard rudder instead in the hope of turning that way. But that didn't work either, because the wind was quite strong, and it simply could not turn away from the wind. So it went on quite a distance, about 30 meters, until fortuitously the wind dropped a little bit, and maybe the angle of the boat was just favourable, and it managed to turn away from the wind, as you see here. And then it recovers its position to Bravo, continued to Charlie very much as before, continued to Delta very much as before, and then when it got into Delta, it managed to turn away from the wind without any trouble, possibly because the wind was lower at that point than it had been through the rest of the trip. And then it continued for the rest of the trip okay. So that just shows the kind of variations you get running the same software in slightly different circumstances, and the difficulty we have in turning either through the wind or away from the wind, depending upon how strong the wind is and the exact circumstances.
What's all this rubbish?
That's a steady wind of about 7 to 8 mph. Right, well, we've got a serious problem with the telemetry here because I copied the wrong file, and I won't be able to sort that out because I haven't got the old file left on the computer, which is a mistake. Anyway, we'll just run without the telemetry, but Dick has put his spot reporter on there, so we shall at least know every 20 minutes, will we, Dick?
Every 12 minutes.
Every 12 minutes we shall know, so that's okay. Right. It might be a good idea if you just turned in a complete circle when you pick that thing up, because it's probably in its auto jibe logic, and if you turn in a circle it'll take it out of it.
Right, okay.
And Robin has got boat 12 here, which is amazingly fast and will probably outstrip Woodstock.
Well, that with Woodstock, it's amazingly stupid.
It just does it automatically, or by the light of nature.
Right. Looks like we're getting close to launches.
Yeah, that should be good, yeah. Okay. All you have to do now is get in the water in less than 20 seconds. No telemetry. What a pain. Right, so Robin is going to launch too, right behind Woodstock. There's Woodstock going off on a port tack, and here is boat 12 with the blue sails, which should go off really fast, I think. But it won't be going in the same direction, so we'll see what's happening. We'll see. I don't think they'll overtake each other. But funnily enough, they are actually, but they're both on a port tack. That's Woodstock's first turn.
No, that was a starboard tack, Peter.
It's
Wind
not.
on the starboard side. No.
All
It's
right.
this-
It's the other way around, is it then?
yeah. It confused me. It's going
Yeah,
to
all right.
the right, but it's actually
Yeah.
a port tack now.
All right. Yeah,
Because the
okay,
wind's
so
on the port side.
and they're both the natural tacking is matching Woodstock exactly, and
Look
overtaking it. Look, it's going to overtake.
Look how quickly it accelerates.
Yes. Ah, but he's tacking multiple times.
Yeah.
That was probably the best bit of it.
That natural tacking was really impressive. And boat 12 has done about 3 tacks in the time that Woodstock has done 2. So I hope Woodstock is not going to go crash into the bank here. Come on, you've got to turn. You're going to turn, or are you going to go straight into the bank?
No, you turn. Well, there you go.
Thank God for that.
Going on to the
Because
starboard tack.
we were nearly ashore there. We could have another foot and you've rounded, wouldn't it?
No, you've got to do more than that.
But he's not making headway that way, is he? Not making as much headway as.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, don't probably. Snoopy's not really making headway.
I don't think neither of them are making headway towards Alpha at the moment.
No,
They're
it's
both
difficult.
about
Yes, they
right
are.
angles, aren't they?
Now Woodstock's getting moving.
That's good, isn't it?
Nice little breeze picked up there.
Oh yes, the breeze. What's the wind now? That's just 8.8, 9.6. So it's just picked up only 1 mph, but well, maybe it's gone down to 7 now. 9.6, 10. So that's maximum 10.2, average 9.3
Right.
mph. Say, boat 12 is a long way over there.
Yeah. Well, that's a sort of common
Is it?
thing. Yeah.
It has to get some way before it's turning enough to
Yeah.
turn through the wind.
Okay, so Woodstock is coming back on a what the hell tack,
Yeah.
port or starboard, as the which way you're round.
Which
you are.
side's the wind on it? Which side is the wind blowing?
It's on a
the boat?
port tack at the
Yeah,
moment,
it's
is
on
it?
a
Right.
port tack.
Okay.
Well done.
And it's actually about
It's just turning.
what 4 feet further towards Alpha than it was the last time.
That's right.
So it's less likely to ground itself, we hope.
He's got
There he goes.
port rudder.
Oh, but he's luffing. He's luffing. That's bad.
Through the wind.
Oh,
There you
he
go.
just managed to, but he had such a low speed. It was only a miracle that he turned at all. He's actually going backwards now.
Now he'll build up some speed and get back on course.
And boat 12 is way over there. Which way is he going? Is he coming towards us or going away from
No, he's
us?
gone away from us, and he's not yet managed to turn onto a different tack.
Oh, right. So he's got stuck on the starboard tack.
Yeah, which is not unusual.
But he always comes back. You won't have to get out and row there, do you? So
I
something will happen.
don't know. It's a long way.
Will we get a spot report in a minute?
I'm just trying to see if we got one. I got some, but then I noticed they were a few days ago.
Problem with that bloody Node.js software is that they completely change the specification of it between one version and the next without even an apology. And
So
that's why the software isn't working, because I've got a different version of Node.js on the laptop from on the PC.
So the minute you update the one on the PC, you should immediately go and update
I know,
it. That should
I
be
should
the
do.
first job you do.
I should do, I know.
Then you go on.
I know, yes. Well, it's all very well telling me now, but...
You've learned your lesson. You won't do it again.
Right, so Woodstock is going out to meet boat 12. And hopefully he should turn right. Oh, he's turning right. Right. Okay.
Well,
So,
he's struggling to turn onto a different tack.
yeah, so the thing is, when boat 12 gets in the lee of that island, he'll
That'll
be able to
help.
turn?
I think that'll change it, yeah, because the wind's is just the wind stream, a little bit strong.
No, he's got beyond base Safeway
Has he?
waypoint, so he's now heading for Alpha.
Oh, can we?
Well,
you can get.
that was
Oh, you-
Safeway's only a few yards out
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Have you got a spot report?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming I just pressed start. Oh, I never pressed track.
You never pressed track.
I pressed the thing and all the lights started going, but there's a...
Oh, on those spots.
You didn't.
But
You
have
didn't
to-
turn the
you have to
track
press
button.
press the track button. Track.
So
So
we
it-
are completely without
Blind.
any information whatever
Yeah.
except the Mark 1 eyeball.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. We're all morons today. Oh, look,
Yeah,
the boat has changed.
Better tack.
Boat 12 has come back onto a better tack. So he's coming towards us now at the rate of knots.
Yeah.
What's he doing now? He's turned again,
You can see the twist. There you go.
but at least he's coming towards us, which is good.
So we can see what's happening afterwards on the visualization of the SD card log from Woodstock. I'm just going to run this forward a bit and then explain what's going on. Now we've got various extra things on this visualization we didn't have before. Firstly, normally, when Woodstock is sailing normally, his track is in green, but when he's tacking, his track is in yellow, and this box turns yellow. And we also draw these green lines which show the width of the corridor he's allowed to tack on between whatever waypoint he's already reached and the next one, in this case between base safe water and alpha. Also shown on this plot in blue is the track of boat 12. We don't have detailed telemetry for boat 12, but we do have its position. So whilst Woodstock has been tacking from base to base safe water, boat 12, which knows nothing about base safe water as a waypoint, is trying to tack from base to alpha, and has so far got to here. Woodstock gets into base safe water, and therefore the next waypoint becomes alpha, and he's now tacking towards alpha. And he should continue until he hits this green line, but in fact what happens is that at this point he decides he can sail directly to alpha. The reason for this is that for a very short time the wind shifted round to 36 degrees instead of being 225 degrees, and that caused the navigator to assume that he could sail directly, or at least that he could tack on a different angle, and so he decided to do that, which was quite unexpected. But it didn't work because Woodstock wouldn't respond to the helm anyway. So Woodstock then decides to do a jibe in order to obey what the navigator was telling him to do. And so he's now on the opposite tack, still making for alpha, so he should come down here to the green line. Meanwhile, boat 12 is sailing miles down to southeast. Boat 12 is trying to turn, but cannot turn into the wind. So now he's got over the green line, he's actually tacking correctly, so he's gone back on the opposite tack, opposite beat. And this goes on until eventually, let me just go back a bit. It goes on until fortuitously boat 12 in a lull manages to change his direction, and he then comes steaming back or sailing back at enormous speed. You can tell the speed because these plots are 10 seconds apart, so the longer the distance, how much faster he's going in this direction than he was going in the opposite direction. But he's basically retracing his steps. Eventually Woodstock gets to alpha, and boat 12 is, well, sort of, you can imagine, you can think of this as a big tack that way, tack back, tack that way, but he's actually going somewhat backwards here. So at this point I thought Woodstock, with his new tacking algorithm, is definitely doing better than boat 12 with the natural tacking, which was true, but unfortunately it didn't go on like that. Because the next thing that happened was Woodstock is tacking towards Bravo, and at this point he gets to the green line, which he should change onto the opposite tack and come back this way. But he sails straight through it without doing anything at all, and just continues relentlessly in this direction. Meanwhile, boat 12 has recovered itself and is getting very close to alpha.
Hey.
Now he's coming. Now he's coming towards us. Now look at the speed of that. It goes like beautifully.
It's so light.
So light. Look at it. Well, for all that work I did to program the telemetry to tell us all these additional things like tacking and whether it's tacking and whether it's auto jibing and so on, we can't see a bloody thing.
Yeah, well.
Because these bloody Unix geeks keep changing their own software.
Yeah. You updated the PC.
Yes, and whilst I was doing it, I thought, should I keep the old version just in case I need it? Don't need that.
There's another lesson. Keep the old version and update the laptop at the same time, and then test it in the configuration you'll be using it on site.
Yes, well, there's only so many hours in the day, right? And you could press the right button on the spot.
Yeah, sorry. I'll get a modified finger.
Yeah.
That helps.
Right, so is he getting anywhere near Bravo now?
No,
Got to go
he's
further?
Sort of, well,
Do you think he's too far north?
I don't know, but it's roughly just to the right of Lone Tree, roughly the direction the...
Oh, Bravo is over there, right.
Yeah.
So Bravo is
Well over.
by that
Just to the
lone
right
tree
of
there.
Lone Tree is a load of
In
rushes.
fact, just to the right of the white boy at the moment. That white boy, okay. So, that's base, and Woodstock is to the right of the there. Well, he's going a hell of a long way over.
It wouldn't make sense unless we saw it actually from above.
Yes. Exactly the same.
Well, we won't really know till we look at the...
Well, the auto jibe is definitely working, but he's just gone, to my mind, a hell of a lot further over there than he should have done.
Yeah. So with that...
So what happened is that, for reasons we don't know, Woodstock just continued tacking in this direction until eventually he got so far to the east that he decided he could sail directly to Bravo from there. So he stopped tacking and tried to turn to do that, but that didn't work, so there was an auto jibe, and he then tacked back almost exactly on his previous track. Meanwhile, boat 12 was making tremendous progress towards Bravo, and so now boat 12 is actually closer to Bravo than Woodstock is, and boat 12 is in the lead. Woodstock continues on this tack, and you would expect him to continue until he hits this green line here, but that's not what in fact happens. What happens is that at a certain point here, the navigator decides that he can sail directly from here to Bravo, so he stops tacking and tries to do that, but very quickly realizes that in fact with leeway it's not going to work. So he then adopts the opposite tack. So this is a case where the full width of the tack has been prematurely interrupted because the navigator temporarily thought he could sail directly there. This is a mistake, really. We shouldn't allow that to happen too easily. He does that several times, in fact. Like here again. Meanwhile, the boats came really close to each other on two occasions, particularly this one just here.
So
they're going to collide. Boom.
They've just missed
Oh, yeah.
by an inch.
I hope the Dragon Touch get that.
Yes, that'll be good, wouldn't it?
11:07,
11:07.
34. They're going to collide again?
Goodness me. Woodstock is going to mow down. Woodstock mows down boat 12 and puts him off his stroke. How unfair. Rocketing towards Charlie. At the rate of... He's really going, isn't he?
Woodstock followed at a more sedate pace.
Well, he might be returning to base, but is he tacking? He's tacking. He's tacking. Well, he's going all over the place. So he's kind of snaking towards us.
The centre of effort is tends to swing the back one way and the other.
Well, he's still making enormous progress towards, but he's actually going to come in. Well, we'll see. Yeah, he's going to hit the shore somewhat east of base.
So does that disqualify him?
No, that's a great success. Yeah, so there's base down there. Well, actually, base is down here. That's base, and he's come ashore over there. Robin's going to collect him.
Yes.
Well, that was pretty successful, and
yeah, it took ages to begin with.
yes.
So you see where the tacking logic benefits it.
But the self-tacking was more successful than my computed tacking.
Well,
But we'll have to see what Woodstock thinks he was doing.
yeah, but it's.
Well,
Put the tracker on now.
so that's bang on target.
So Woodstock was 22% slower than boat 12 over the same course at the same time. And everything ended happily. We might not be able to sail across the Atlantic, but we can certainly produce multicoloured spaghetti, you have to admit. Thanks very much for watching.